Hello everyone and welcome to the 37th and potentially the final episode of Chess this week. Now this one's going to be a short one as the chess world is pretty much dominated by the World Cup and the Women's World Cup. However, the big news even preceding the World Cup is that Gukesh has surpassed the legend, the 5-time world champion Vishy Anand in live ratings. Now Vishy has been the India #1 for the last 36 years in published ratings. And in live ratings, Vishy was surpassed only for one game for a very brief period by Hari Krishna. This is an incredible achievement and it almost feels like the start of a new era, and I'm extremely glad and proud that the young generation is taking over and how amazing and bright the future looks for us. Now this is the live ratings. Gukesh surpassed it by defeating his second round opponent 2-0 in the World Cup, and he defeated the local Grandmaster, Azerbaijan Grandmaster Eskandro, and then he went on to defeat his compatriot SL Narayanan in the third round, 1.5 and he sits the pretty with a rating of 2758.6, the live rating. Vishy staying at 2754, and a big difference between the #2 and the current #3 in live ratings, Vidit, who is at 2718, Prag moving up to 2715, and there is a lot of dynamic changes in this live rating. Hari Krishna at 2711, Arjun with 2704.8, but Gukesh sitting at the top at the undisputed #1 spot at the moment. Moving on to the World Cup news. Now the Open World Cup, this features 206 participants, and this is divided into 16 sections, out of which we will be looking at a few of the sections, especially those featuring Indians. But first, the section 1, which doesn't feature a lot of Indians except Harsha Bartakoti, who got knocked out in round 1, but Magnus Carlsen headlines section 1 along with the German super kid Vincent Keimer. Now both these players have won their round 2 and round 3 matches comfortably and face each other in the 4th round in what is said to be an exciting clash. Magnus has held the upper hand over Vincent for ever since they have started playing against each other, but we will see if Vincent is able to overcome the Magnus effect. And moving on directly to section 4, featuring Gukesh and SL Narayanan. Now Gukesh has been fabulous. He defeated Iskandro, and he also had a convincing 1.5 win over SL Narayanan, who played quite well himself. He had a 2-0 win in the first round. He defeated the Ukrainian Grandmaster Yuri Kuzubo in the second round, but Gukesh was just too strong, too awesome, and he advances to the 4th round, where he awaits the winner of the matchup between Vallejo Pons and Andriy Esipenko. Moving on to section 5. Now this is headlined by Anish Giri, but not just him, but also other heavyweights like Peter Svidler, Jordan Van Forest, and the matches are undecided at the moment of recording this. The round 3 hasn't ended. The tie breaks are going to happen today, and this features Anish against Abaso and Peter Svidler against Jordan Van Forest. The winner of each of these matches will play against each other. Abhimanyu Puranik won the first game, but he lost in the second round against Peter Svidler quite convincingly. Moving on to section 7, which is headlined by Vidit Gujarati and Yu Yagi. Now this also follows a similar pattern to the previous section. Vidit deadlocked 1-1 against the German Grandmaster Matthias Blugam, and Yu Yagi also deadlocked 1-1 against the French Grandmaster Etienne Pepro. Section 8 features Nihal Sari and Jan Nepomniachtchi. I don't remember, but I think the Global Chess Championship might have had a similar grouping. In any case, Nihal, he's deadlocked 1-1 against the Romanian Grandmaster Dig Bogdan, and Jan Nepomniachtchi also with equal score against the local Grandmaster Rolf Momedov. So this is also going to be an exciting contest I'm particularly hoping for and looking forward to a contest between Nihal against Jan Nepomniachtchi. Section 14, this features Arjun Erigaisi and Maxim Vasyar-Lagrave, who in an upset result lost against the Uzbek prodigy Jahangir Sindorov, who is just 17 years old. This was a big result, although Jahangir is quite capable, has quite a few achievements behind his name. He was part of the Olympic gold medal winning Uzbekistan team. He finished with a silver medal in the World Team Championship for Uzbekistan, but Emil, a veteran of the elite level for many years, and this was a bit of a surprising result, especially that Javakir managed to win with the black pieces. And in the matchup between Arjun against Vladimir Fedosev, Arjun also followed a similar pattern. He won with the black pieces after drawing the first game with the white pieces, and he also had to overcome stiff resistance from Sergei Azarov in the second round. So the fourth round matchup is between Arjun against Javakir, which also sets up to be a very interesting match to anticipate. And the final one, the last section, this headlines popular two of the most strongest players in the chess world, Pragnananda and Hikaru Nakamura. Prag hasn't had much difficulty so far getting to round 4. He managed to defeat the French Grandmaster Maxime Lagarde 1.5, first game win, second game draw, and he followed a similar pattern against the Czech Grandmaster David Navara and moves comfortably into the fourth round. Whereas the sailing was not as smooth for Hikaru, who overcame super stiff resistance from the Indian Grandmaster, the reigning national champion Karthik VAP. And this was a very interesting match. Karthik holding steady for the first 3 games, and in the 4th game, he even refused repetitions several times in an ambitious bid to defeat Hikaru. But this backfired for him, as Hikaru managed to turn the tables around very cleverly, and he moved on to the 3rd round, where he managed to win much more comfortably, a 1.5 win over the Hungarian Grandmaster Benjamin Gladura. And this sets up once again a very exciting clash between Hikaru against Prag in the 4th round. The 4th round, action heating up in the open section. On the other hand, moving on to the women's section, this features 103 players, half of that of the open section, thereby 1 round lesser. And one of the highlights of this tournament amongst Indian players is the upset win of Marianne Gomes over Katrina Lagnum in the second round. This was a fantastic win by Mary. Although she stumbled in the 3rd round, she bore out of the tournament, losing against the Bulgarian Nurgul Salimova. And amongst Indians who are still in the competition, there is of course Konero Hampi, who has moved on to the 4th round, convincing 1.5 win in the second round against compatriot Priyanka Notaki, and another convincing 1.5 win over Olga Badalka. She has won with the white pieces and drawn with the black pieces, and so far she has been quite smooth and convincing. On the other hand, Harika is the other big Indian name in the World Cup, and she's right now playing in the 3rd round. She has gone to the tiebreakers, and she faces Georgian Grandmaster Leela Javakashvili. They are tied with 1-1 at the end of 3rd round, and this will go into the tie breaks. The World Cup format has 2 classical games, and if it's 2 classical games of 90 plus 30 followed by 30 minutes after move 40, if it's a tie, then 2 games of 25 plus 10. If it's a tie, then 2 sets of games of 10 plus 10. If again it's a tie, then 2 sets of games of 5 plus 3. And finally, after these 8 games, if it is still 4-4, then we move to the sudden death, a series of games of 3 plus 2, and whoever wins first qualifies to the next round. So Harika going into the tiebreaker in round 3 after a convincing 2-0 win in the second round. And talking about our Indian juniors in the women's, Divya Deshmukh had 2 convincing wins moving on to the 3rd round, but she lost against Alexandra Guryachkina in the 3rd round. And Vaishali, who also had a pretty convincing run, she lost in the 3rd round against Maria Muzic. Now that's all the stories from the World Cup. There is just one more tournament, the Summer Classic in St. Louis, which features 3 Indians out of 10 players. That is Pranav V, Shashikiran, who comes back after a long layoff. He had a ligament tear and he had to get an ACL surgery, but he's back after a long time. And Raunak Sadhwani, who is on a tournament playing spree. So these are the 3 Indians, not counting Abhimanyu Mishra, who represents USA. And at the end of 4 rounds, V Pranav is in the joint lead with 3 out of 4. Shashikiran and Raunak finding the going a bit more tougher with 1.5 out of 4. But it's a long tournament with 5 more rounds to go. And this is the story of the Summer Classic at the end of 4 rounds. that's this episode of Chess This Week. Now, if you like this episode, then do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and see you all soon.